Greetings in Christ. This coming Sunday, three members of St. Luke Academy will graduate, and we look forward to that at our 10:30 a.m. service. Next week, at that service, we're going to be celebrating the graduations of many St. Lucans from grade school, high school, college, and we are really looking forward to lifting up our graduates this year. Next Wednesday's video will have an interview with one of our graduating members, Sam Maggiore, who graduated from high school. So meet Sam next week. Lutheran schools are important parts of the Lutheran mission globally, as well as here in Chicago and in the U.S. And I had the privilege of being at 4 Lutheran schools in Palestine, in the West Bank. And the year was and I was able to be at 4 of those graduations. And today I want to tell you about the graduation at one of those schools, Talitha Cumi School, which means little girl, I say unto you, arise in Aramaic, which Jesus said to the child whom he raised from the dead, Talitha Cumi. The year was 2003. There had just been another intifada, an uprising in the occupied territories of Palestine. And Israeli troops had gone into areas like Bethlehem, where there was a siege, and Beit Jala and Beit Sahur, and other places in the West Bank. And so these children were in a time of their version of a pandemic, where they had to dodge bullets and were living under pressure. And so the graduation was especially poignant, not unlike this year's graduation after a time of pandemic when children had to be adaptable. So from my journal, I'm going to share with you some of the graduation. As we drove toward Beit Jala near Bethlehem for the graduation of Talitha Cumi Lutheran School, life on the ground began to reveal itself. We stopped at a checkpoint and saw long lines of cars waiting to go through. On each side of the road is a fence and rolling hills and valleys. On our left are Palestinian villages. On our right, the growing number of Israeli West Bank settlements. The wall is meant to keep the villages and settlements separate. It reminded me of the fence being built even back in 2003 on some parts of our border. The fence is a scar, hated by the Palestinians. The Lutheran bishop at the time, Munib Yunan, bishop of the Lutheran Church in Palestine and Jordan, and his wife Suad were traveling with us. She is a teacher at Talitha Cumi School. We met the principal, who told us about the 800 Christian and Muslim students who attend grades 1 through 12. And that evening, 47 children would graduate. That school has a close partnership with the Lutheran Church in Germany. I had a brief conversation with the former mayor of Beit Jala, the town where this school is located. He pointed out the looming settlements on land taken from his family recently. Through tears, he said to me, "These graduates are without a future." Khader El-Yatim, a pastor who was a pastor of the Salam Lutheran Church in Brooklyn, Arabic Lutheran Church. He's now a director for evangelical mission in Florida. He was from Beit Jala, and he went to this school. In the midst of many months of hardship and continuing poverty, the graduation was a joyful affirmation of life and achievement. Everyone wore bright colors, flowers abounded, political and religious leaders were prominent. The school teaches nonviolence, one of the few places in that conflicted land that does. Bagpipes accompanied the procession of graduates. The Palestinian anthem was sung. Valedictory speeches were in English, Palestinian, and German. In English, Samer Ganan spoke of their education in times of curfew and closure. He said, "We must be the generation to build the Palestinian state with Jerusalem as the capital." The German valedictory address was given by Raffaella Fischer, whose father, a German doctor, was killed in the occupation. She spoke of peace and nonviolence, and people around me were in tears. Charlie Haddad, the director of schools for the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Jordan and Palestine, used 1 Corinthians 9:24 to frame his remarks. You must run in the same way, meaning to begin, meaning to win. Today we meet to honor all these young runners who ran challenged by all kinds of difficult situations, overcoming closures, checkpoints, curfews. Their race was among rocks that made their feet bleed and among thorns that hurt their tiny bodies. Their race journey, especially throughout the year, was one of challenge and defiance. They challenged despair with hope, frustration with determination, and slavery with freedom. Day after day, they challenged fear, running and hiding between roads and streets, trying their best to reach school in order to meet for a class or to sit for an exam. Our suffering and frustration goes on under this loathsome and horrible occupation, with hearts wavering between darkness and light, despair and hope, coercion and determination. We look into the eyes of these young smiling faces filled with confidence and hope. Then we regain our confidence and determination out of theirs. Never forget the good faith your teachers planted in you. Never forget your country and your people. Never forget your God. They will all be waiting for you. I was there with Bishop Hansen in the Holy Land to support our Lutheran Church, to also negotiate with the Israeli government some of the tax issues at Augusta Victoria Hospital, and also to meet with Bishop Yunan, with Muslim leaders and Arab leaders. We met with Arafat and Muhammad Abbas around including Christianity in the constitution of an evolving Palestinian state. So at that graduation, Bishop Hansen turned to the students and told them they had been our teachers. Bishop Yunan said, "Just like there is no peace without justice, so there is no justice without peace." Then over the loudspeaker, like Walmart music, came blaring the song, "Congratulations, jubilation," and the diplomas were handed out. Suad Yunan led a blind student to receive her diploma. Young children sang a final song. I dream of the Palestinian children, that they may fly free as a bird. As I walked among these graduates and their loved ones, an oasis of joy and jubilation in the bleak stasis of occupation and strife, I remembered again the meaning of the Aramaic words Jesus spoke to the ill little girl. Talitha Cumi, little child, I say unto you, arise.